These pictures are just stunning, this video, and they're giving us a real window into the intentions of this ISIS group. They have completely overrun and dissolved the border now between Iraq and Syria. And as you heard them say, they didn't do that with a passport. They did it with a sword and with their weapons. And what is more troubling is that anybody can cross that border now. It is really not a border between two countries anymore. It is the development of a new country that is known as IS, the Islamic State, the likes of which we really have never seen before. And this video shows, of course, their side of the story, what they are letting these reporters see. But these reporters are getting a vantage point that we're really not seeing anywhere else. So it's important to take a look at it. And several of the citizens that are interviewed here actually support the IS and the militants because they feel like their life is better under these people. So it's really important to understand all the angles of this. And Pete Hegseth is here to help us do just that. He served in Afghanistan and in Iraq. He is now the CEO of Concerned Veterans for America and Fox News contributor. Pete, welcome. Good morning to you. You watched this video before and again along with us now. What's your reaction to it?
Well, it's very telling, first of all, about their intentions. This Islamic State is meant to be a caliphate that sees no borders. They talk explicitly in the video about ignoring the agreement between the UK and France after World War I, dissolving the Ottoman Empire from 1916. How many Americans are thinking about lines drawn in 1916? These jihadists are, because they don't recognize that, and they want to establish a borderless state of an Islamic State, a caliphate that spreads beyond Iraq and Syria. So it not just tells us about those intentions, but it also tells us about their capabilities. These are not just terrorists or insurgents seeking to attack for attacking's sake. They want to address the grievances of the local population, build a power base from which to project. These videos show a lot of segments of young kids, of others, declaring their desire to attack America. They want a home base from which to do so, which is something no other radical Islamic organization has formally had.
Yeah. I think you're so right in everything that you're saying. And it kind of reminds me in a way of Hezbollah, what we heard from Hezbollah in terms of, making life better for people, because these terrorist organizations understand that you can be mean and you can brandish your sword and you can kill people and be brutal. But if you really want to gain power longer term, you have to offer something as well to the people that are out there. The Nazis did the same thing in many ways. Do you agree?
I agree completely. They've learned a lot of lessons of brutal organizations before that, whether that was Al-Qaeda in Iraq or Al-Qaeda elsewhere, who used too much brutality and not enough addressing of grievances. The videos talk about the Sharia courts that have been established to provide justice. In many places in Syria and Iraq, there may have been a central government, but there was no fair application of justice. And when you look at what citizens want, they want peace and stability, and they're willing to live with some radicalism and a few chopped off heads in order to get that. And this group knows it. They can be brutal, but they can also apply basic needs of the population. That's how they build sympathy from which to operate.
Another part of this, they talk about how the cross is fading in a particularly chilling moment. They say it's going away. And I want to play for you now a bit of sound from President Obama, and I want to get your reaction to this as well, Pete. Let's play it.
When there's a situation like the one on this mountain, when countless innocent people are facing a massacre, and when we have the ability to prevent it, the United States cannot just look away.
That was just the other day, but apparently now the situation on the mountain is pretty much A-OK, according to what we're hearing.
Well, humanitarian efforts matter. Degrading the enemy is important. It's good to see that we've had initial strikes. They're not enough to roll this back. But when you talk about the cross and the sword, these Islamists speak only in religious terms. They see a state that has no differentiation between the sacred and the secular. It is all Allah's in their perspective. Yet in our side, we no longer talk in those terms. We don't see ourselves, certainly the president does not, as defenders of the cross. They see us as such, with Israelis. These are huge civilization clashes that they believe are happening that we've pulled back from, making it more difficult for us to have the lexicon necessary to deal with these folks who want to have a Sunni Shia Christian Muslim clash that we don't recognize. So they're setting terms of a debate that right now we're unwilling to engage in.
Yeah, and it's amazing to hear the children in this video. Our kids here are talking about very different things, but what these children are focused on is fighting for al-Baghdadi and doing his work in their future. That's what they look forward to. I do want to ask you just to go back 1 second and get your response to one more thing about this mountaintop. Do you agree that these airstrikes have worked worked, and that the humanitarian efforts have worked, and that the situation there changed so dramatically now that we don't need to go in? It seems odd to many people that it could turn around so quickly after the harrowing pictures that we just saw yesterday.
There's a lot of conflicting reports, Martha. I've followed it closely as to how many are still there, how many have died, how many have been rescued. It's clear you can only do so much through dropping MREs in water. That is treating the symptom, not the problem. If you want to address the problem, which is ISIS, you've got to go in more robustly, more militarily to push that back. So we may have saved people on the mountaintop, Christians and religious minorities, which is important. But it doesn't mean there won't be another mountaintop. There won't be another church burned, Christians massacred. ISIS is going to continue to march unless we go at them and empower folks like the Peshmerga in the north sufficiently with weaponry to fight back. But that will, again, only degrade them, not defeat them. And you look at these videos, it should be chilling to every single American that understands what happened on 9/11 and what existed before 9/11 in Afghanistan. What we see in Iraq today, in many ways, is worse as far as their capabilities, and they are more brazen in their desire and intention to hit us with passports of Western Europeans and Americans. This is a very dangerous situation, Martha, that requires serious leadership and application, and every tool of American power needs to be on the table as we decide how to confront it.
Let's hope we're doing what we can to track those passport people down. I hope we are. Pete, thank you very much. Always good to talk to you.